What is capitalism? Stick around. It may not mean what you think it means. I called this video, What is Capitalism? But I could also have called it Know Thy Enemy. Because if you're on the left and you want to build an alternative to modern capitalism, you at least have to know what you're talking about. So first, capitalism is an economic system in which a small minority of people, capitalists, own the means of production and of investment. So it's basically the private ownership of businesses and investment and the private appropriation of profit. The word says it. Capitalism. Capitalism. It is the system and the ideology of the people who own capital. But here's the catch. Capitalism is not only an economic system. Capitalism is also a political system. A political system in the sense that it is a way of allocating, of structuring power within a society. Economics is about the allocation of resources, all kinds of resources, including money, capital. And politics is about the allocation of power. So, of course, even though they are distinct concepts, of course, in the real world, they go together. Those that control vast amounts of resources also exercise political power. The economic system in which we live will necessarily influence the political system and vice versa. So capitalism is not just a way of producing goods and services. It is also a power structure. When we look at the state of the world today, we see the extreme inequalities. Basically, a few hundred families control the majority of private investments throughout the world. You have an incredible concentration of economic power, but that economic power obviously translates immediately into political power. The other thing to not forget is that capitalism is not just an economic system and a political system, but it's also a social and cultural system. By that I mean that it comes with a certain set of values. I'm thinking of greed, of consumerism, every man for himself. These are the kinds of values that underpin the rest of the system, and we need to be conscious of that. So for those of us who are on the economic left and want to build an alternative to capitalism, it's essential to understand what we're fighting. And so what I find the most reprehensible in capitalism is not only capitalism as an economic system, although that has tons of problems, of course, but the worst part of it for me is capitalism as a political system, as a system of power, of domination, and also the ideologies that accompany it. You know, it makes me laugh when people talk about capitalism as some sort of expression of freedom. Capitalism has nothing to do with freedom. It's a system of power. It's a system of domination. And if it's anybody's freedom, it's the freedom simply of those at the top. It's the freedom of the 1%. It's not the freedom of the 99%. You'll probably have noticed that I did not mention at all the idea of the market. Some people define capitalism as being the free market. And that is not true, and I'm going to spend the next video explaining why.